What's going on, everybody? Mike here. It's Tuesday, the 2nd of October. Recorded a first blog. I didn't like it. I had trouble posting it as well, so decided to redo it. How about that? That's what we do. Real quick, let's talk about the Panthers. They lose a tough one to Atlanta over the weekend. That 2-point loss, 30-28 was the final. It's E60, don't mind the shirtless guy over my shoulder. A game that Carolina really, in my opinion, beat Atlanta. I mean, they really did. They played well enough to win and could not finish it up. That's what it all amounts to. They couldn't finish out that final minute. A lot of talk this week about will safety Haruki Nakamura be replaced, benched? Will he not start? I'll be honest with you. He was feast or famine. He really was. He had the interception. He had a pass breakup in the end zone, made 4 tackles. But everybody's going to remember the glaring big pickups from Matt Ryan to Roddy White that Nakamura was in coverage for. Is it his fault? You can lay blame on him. But my opinion is the guy made plays and he missed making some plays, and that's part of the game. And when you're looking at an offense like Atlanta, that's going to happen. There are great safeties in the NFL that have been burned by quarterbacks like Matt Ryan. So I mean, these things are going to happen. I don't think it was, ultimately that last drive is what won Atlanta the football game. But the second guessing of should the Panthers have punted, stop. They should have, especially with the way it all turned out. It was the right call. It was the right play call to make. I do understand going for it in that spot. But at the same time, what if Atlanta's defense steps up? What if, they make a stop on 4th and a yard? If they do that, then the Panthers have given them the ball at midfield. I mean, it's it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, and the way it played out, it's painful for the Panthers. But at the same time, it was the way the game played out, and you have to give Atlanta credit for making a play, and you also have to look at the Panthers and point the dirty end of the stick at them for not closing it out. So, how do they move on? Next up, Seattle. They got beat by St. Louis. You got Russell Wilson coming in as their starting quarterback. Pete Carroll. I love how he's saying, our other guy, he's still a little banged up. He likes what Wilson's doing. He really does. There's no question about that. And that offense goes pretty well with him. Panthers getting the home date with Seattle. They don't have to go all the way out west for this one. Much different atmosphere. I would expect the Panthers to put together that same kind of effort. Plus the fact when you think in these terms that after the Seattle game they've got the bye week. They do not want to be away from the game on a 3-game losing streak. They just don't. So I would anticipate a Panthers victory on Sunday, 4:15 kick. So plan accordingly, and I would expect them to win. I really do. I think Carolina will beat Seattle this week. So, Ryder Cup, painful. If you know anything about me, I love the game of golf. Played through college, still play to this day. Love it, and I was bummed. I was very bummed on Sunday when the United States did not close out the Ryder Cup. Very bummed. After the way they played the first 2 days, the way they had played in 4-ball and foursomes, I mean, they were incredible. But you find out later that in the 4th session, the afternoon session on Saturday, when Phil Mickelson and Keegan Bradley did not play, that was a decision that was made ultimately by Davis Love III, but it came after a suggestion from Phil Mickelson that he and Bradley sit the afternoon. They were the best team going for the United States, period. I mean, they were slaughtering everybody. They had 54 holes they had the opportunity to play, 3 18-hole matches. They played 44 holes in those 3 matches. That's it. And they went 3-0 in that span. So the fact that they didn't play in the afternoon, at the suggestion of Mickelson, I mean, Davis Love's the captain, and ultimately he's the one that makes the final call, but in a situation like that, you got to look at the reality. And the reality was that Phil and Keegan were killing everybody, and they should have been on the golf course. That's just me. The European side played brilliant golf on Sunday to win to take Sunday in the singles matches, and they had 6 points going into Sunday, and they got 8.5 out of 12. I mean, that's getting it done. And it was strength on strength in those opening matches, and the European side got that early wave of momentum, and it carried them. So the Europeans get the cup for 2 more years. United States back to the drawing board. We have to wonder who the American captain will be in 2014. Going back overseas, you got to get 14.5 to win the cup, and the Europeans have really dominated this event. When you look at taking 7 of the last 9, that's incredible. It really, really is. So when you think in those terms of what the Americans have to overcome now in the next Ryder Cup, the odds are long. They really, really are. But the Americans will be battle tested. I would think that you'll see many of these same players on the roster, with the exception of a couple of guys that I think, they may not make it. Steve Stricker had a horrible Ryder Cup. He had 0 points in his 4 matches that he played. Tiger Woods had a horrible Ryder Cup. He got half a point in the 4 matches he played. If Tiger's still playing well, and Tiger played great, I will say that. I mean, Tiger was outstanding in the 3 days of play at the Ryder Cup at Medina, but you got to get more than a half point if you're among the top players. I mean, if you're Tiger, you got to get more than a half point, period. And that's in that case, he's kind of a victim of his own success. But you got to produce. That's the bottom line. So we'll see who the American captain is. We'll see how the players play their way into those Ryder Cup spots. But I would think that you'll probably see guys like Jason Duffner back and Webb Simpson, Bubba Watson. You may see a Ricky Fowler emerge to play again. Brandt Snedeker had a less than memorable Ryder Cup, but you kind of figure he'll bounce back and he'll be a factor once they play the matches in 2014. So you have that. Bobcats open up training camp Tuesday. Camp at UNC Asheville under new head coach Mike Dunlap, and lots of turnover. If you look at this roster, there's a lot of new faces. You've got guys like Brendan Haywood, wasn't here last year, Ramon Sessions, Ben Gordon, the 2 draft picks of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and Jeffrey Taylor. You look at those 5 alone, and those are guys that I think Dunlap is going to have to count on. He's going to have to rely on those guys. You got Tyrus Thomas, who, come to find out, he had ulcers prior to last season, and had to be treated for that. You factor in the way that it was a compressed schedule last year, and the injuries that hit this ball club, and Thomas was a shell of himself. There's a lot of reasons why this team wasn't very good last year. I'm not telling you right now that they're going to win the Eastern Conference and win the NBA title, but if they stay healthy, they've got a chance to at least be competitive. And by competitive, I mean if they can win 35 games, that's pretty good. It really is. I just thought last year they were, and remember last year too, they blew things up. They got rid of the high-ticket contracts, they went young, and it's very difficult to rebuild in the NBA based on youth and through the draft and that sort of thing. And that's the way that this team's going. So it's going to be a slow process. I like Dunlap. I think he's a very cerebral head coach. He kind of reminds me of how Herb Sendek was when he was at NC State. Very, very a thinking man's coach. Knows the game. There's no question about it. But I like the approach too. Kind of explaining the approach and how he's going to put players in key positions or try to put them in positions to be successful, and doing it with math. Think about Moneyball. If you saw the movie and the premise of acquiring guys, Brad Pitt playing Billy Bean in that movie, and the whole point was he wanted guys that got on base. I want Scott Hatteberg, he gets on base. I want this guy, he gets on base. I want this guy, he gets on base. That sort of thing. Well, with the Bobcats, it's finding spots on the floor, and this is something that Dunlap described as kill spots. Spots where players are most successful, and try to work an offense around them, or that incorporates them into those spots where they can have an opportunity to be successful. Look for the Bobcats to be a very defensive-minded team. Once again, I mean, if you're looking for, West Coast flash and dash, that's probably not what you're going to see. But I do think you're going to see a very meticulously coached team, a team that certainly has everything to gain and nothing to lose, considering where they were last year. And it could be a fun season. I will say that it could be a fun season. I'm not predicting a playoff run for these guys, but then again, they've only had 1 day of practice, so you just never know. So you got all that stuff. So anyway, that's we'll put the wraps on this one here because we're almost at the 10-minute mark. And thank you for watching. Make sure that you send us your point and shoot videos to sports@news14.com. Shoot them off your smartphone, like I'm shooting this blog, or your webcam. Email them sports@news14.com, and we'll get your point and shoot videos on the air. And also, don't forget, Got a big week. Got a big week of guests on the Ford Sports Night. Of course, Tuesday night, John Beeson with Quick Hits will break down the Panther game. We'll talk with Casey Kane on Wednesday and get his thoughts on the new sponsorship deal that involves Time Warner Cable. There'll be a primary sponsor at the Bank of America 500 on the 13th, and then 4 races next year as well. So that's kind of a cool deal. And we'll also talk with Brad Keselowski coming up this week in a one-on-one setting to get the points leader's thoughts. He's won 2 races in the chase, and they've only run 3 of them. So right now this guy's hotter than sunburn, and he's got a cool confidence about him and a no-nonsense approach. I think you'll like what he has to say, and we'll run that for you later on this week as well on the Ford Sports Night. So until we vlog again, we will talk to you soon.